go for it.
Welcome to this product update live stream. I have Mr. Sebastian with me, which is CTO in Crystallize.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello. My name is Bård, and today we're going to talk about, as you see on the screen, the Shop API. So we will actually do some API work here. I won't go as far as say coding because it's kind of, but not so much. Yeah. But basically, maybe you can start, Sebastian, with why did we create the Shop API? What is it? Maybe a little bit overview over what we're going to cover today.
Yeah, definitely, because some people can start by saying, okay, why? And also why we didn't have a Shop API.
Yeah.
So it might be also a good question. So I think, and I'm just quoting you right now, right? It's removing friction. This is what we're trying to do. And talking with clients and users, we've seen that one friction was always there is, it's quite easy to build your front end using Crystallize with everything that it's provided, and you have different kind of API to do that. But you still need a service API, right? You need a service layer that controls things. And usually in this service layer, you would build your own cart API because it could be very unique to your business, right? And with this service API, you obviously need a storage to store the cart. So because Crystallize is providing you the order and the product, but you have the thing in the middle, it's not yet an order, and it has to be close to the client. You don't want to use an order and Crystallize to do the cart. So people who are building the cart. So at some point, when we gather all together, right, not so long ago, we've decided to say, hey, maybe we should remove that friction, build the Shop API that is generic enough for people to use it. So we handle for you now. So the Shop API is really about that. It's handling the storage of the cart and the calculation of the prices, which we're going to see can be quite complex and quite customized. And this is really the essence of the Shop API.
Yeah. Still not removing any flexibility, right? You can still do all the custom stuff for product configurators and complex products. So it's not a limitation as that we are introducing.
No, definitely not. And oops. That was the screen share, the screensaver. So yeah, definitely no friction. So we keep all the API like they were before, but we introduce a new one that you can use from your own service layer. That doesn't change, but we're going to simplify a lot what is possible to do. So maybe we can start talking about that. What are actually the feature?
Yeah, right? But maybe also. We talk about non-opinionated. Should we start with discussing that just briefly? Because it's kind of a philosophy on most of the things we do in Crystallize. From we make no decisions upfront for what is your product structure or post-sales management flow. So you can you have a lot of flexibility, and that is what we had currently until we released. Shop API with also everything related to cart management. You can do whatever. You have full control, right? So this is the thing. We're not removing anything, as we just said, but we are removing friction for storage, calculation, and management of the cart, while still allowing you to do exactly what you want if you want.
Yeah, and meaning non-opinionated probably means for you, and I think it's a good point actually to talk about this. When you're using the order API in Crystallize, actually the order API doesn't do any calculation, and for most people it's actually weird because they will expect Crystallize to manage all the calculation, to manage maybe more on the stock level, for instance, but actually, a lot of people really like that too, because you have full control. In a way, we can see Crystallize as a smart storage on that one. But it's not good for everything, right? And for the cart, and especially on the cart, what if you can have a non-opinionated cart API that does a little bit more while keeping this non-opinionated approach? And you're going to see that with the Shop API, there are a lot of options because we want to be generic enough so you can use it if you are doing B2B or B2C. If you have a very weird checkout process, you can probably use it already.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Should we dive into
Let's
some
do
of
it.
the specificities? Is that time for it now?
Yeah, let's do it. So
we have a couple of high-level things here, like, for example, cart hydration, which is a concept. It's a term that's being used. Maybe we should start with that, defining what we mean with cart hydration.
Exactly. So hydration, it's a little bit, if you are a front-end developer, the hydration is a little bit what's happening in the browser when you download the page, right? It's downloaded as an HTML page, and then the framework is going to hydrate the thing so you can actually play with it with your JavaScript framework of your choice. Here, it's kind of the same. The Shop API, we'll see, and we'll do a demo in a moment, but you input the minimum, and it's going to hydrate that minimum, right? So you input an SKU, and the Shop API will go into Crystallize to fetch the information about this SKU. So the name, the prices, the image, anything you want actually from Crystallize. So this is what we call hydration. And on top of this, it also does the calculation, of course. And we'll see that it's really powerful because, again, you have many options. So calculation are also based on a context that you provide. So, but yeah, that's mainly that. You provide the minimum, and because in Crystallize we know most of the things, we can hydrate. That's the concept.
Cool. What's the next thing then in terms of, so you had the hydration to set up the tax and the calculation and things like this, and then what can you actually manage in the cart?
Yeah. So what is the cart API, right? The cart API will be used to build your checkout process. So mainly what you want to be able to add an SKU, remove an SKU, change the quantity, maybe change the prices. We're going to see that. And then at some point during the checkout process, this cart will change its state. So we'll see that Shop API is also a little bit of a state machine, a very simple one. The cart has two states. It could be a cart or it could be placed. And once it's placed, what do you want? You want to be able to transform that cart into an order that you are going to push to Crystallize, right? So the Shop API does that for you. It doesn't push to Crystallize for you, but it will return what we are calling an order intent, because you can still tweak it, right? You can be in a situation where you want the order from the Shop API, but you want to tweak it. You want to add some metadata. You want to do something specific. So you do it on your service layer.
You do you.
You do you.
In terms of just the state management there, I think this is important, and also something we've seen in e-commerce setups that have some bugs in them, right? Where you have a checkout and you have a cart and then you start a payment process, but if you go back somehow, you can still change the cart. And so is this actually locking? This is what you want to create a payment intent for, and after that, you're not able to modify the cart. This is what we're mainly talking about with this state management.
This is so often this bug exists, right? You can change the cart in another tab while you are actually on another page, on another website, depending on the payment system, paying. So most of the website, though, they will detect this, during the shipping process. Maybe they will see that, okay, you paid $100 for like $500 of product, something weird. And then, but still, it is better if we handle that in advance.
Yeah.
So
because it's when missing, you're not aware of it, right? And it's important.
Yeah. And so indeed, when you place the cart in the Shop API, the cart becomes read-only. So we keep it and we lock it for you.
And one of the things that we also decided to do is, I mean, you're in San Francisco, I'm here in Norway. I want the cart or the shop API to have the cart close to me.
Yep. Close the node that is gonna serve you, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, the node should be closed indeed, and this is definitely a thing that we want for all the API, obviously. But for this one, it was even more important, right? So indeed, the shop API is fully on the edge, and the cart, I mean, the storage of the cart is also fully on the edge. We like to say millisecond matters, right? So, but this is exactly about that, right? We wanted to ship this new API, the best way possible. So this is on the edge, data on the edge. It's using queues and stuff behind the scene to do everything that needs to be done correctly. So you should have good performance on it.
Yeah. And it's also delivering data close to you, so it's local delivery. It's important. Less data transfer, less energy
Exactly.
and CO2 and all those things.
Yep.
I want to see stuff.
You want to see stuff?
Yep.
Let's go for it. So shop API, this is the documentation. If you hit shop-API,
You need to share your screen again, by the way.
Interesting. Oh, because of the, okay. I was scrolling, didn't do anything. Okay. Good. You can see it now?
Yep.
Awesome. So when you hit shop.crystallize.com, you're gonna get redirected to the documentation page, because as you know, most of the time to hit something in Crystallize, you do the API/tenant/something. This is exactly what you do for shop API. It's shop-api.crystallize.com/your tenant/cart. So I don't want, we can discuss authentication a little bit later, but I think it's not the best. We should start by something else, I guess. But yeah, you need authentication. You need to create a token. To create a token, you need your Crystallize access token ID and access token secret, like usual. And you have an endpoint. It's in the documentation where you provide that, the expiry time, also what you want to access on the Shop API. We're gonna come back to that a little bit later. But yeah, you get a token, and thanks to this token that you have to put in the header, the way you do with any API actually, in authorization bearer, you put your token and you do get access to the Shop API, right? So it's really simple.
And this token that you're showing now, this is a real token, but it will expire very, very soon. So don't even try to copy it.
Yeah, don't do that. And this is a DWT token that gives you access to the cart API.
For this one demo tenant, just
yeah, exactly.
At the security aspect there,
yeah. And also, this is interesting to just mention it. You can have, because obviously the Shop API is going to use the catalog API to fetch the data, but your catalog API, it could be protected by static auth or by token as well. And that's totally okay. You can definitely work with that. It's also in the documentation. You just need to provide a good header when you're actually talking to Shop API, the same way that you provide the static auth token in the catalog API when you're talking to the catalog API. So this is fully, this is the same. Nothing's changed. You have your habit. Those are the same. So let's have a look now. Let's play. So we have a tenant, right? So this is Crystallize, as you know it now. It's a tree. We have a bunch of product. Let's go with the robot. So, we're going to build the cart right now. To build the cart, I need an SKU. This is the minimum information that I need. So let's pick that SKU. You have different view in Crystallize, right? We're not going to demo all that stuff, but yeah, I can get the SKU here. And actually, I prefer the red one. So I'm going to get the red one. Going to go back on. Yeah?
Good choice.
Yeah. So here you have queries. So queries to get the cart. Sometimes you don't want to mutate the cart. You don't want to create or update. You just want to get it. This is the query. You provide the ID of the cart. We'll use it later. And order intent. This is what we were talking about at the end of the process. If you we'll see it. What is interesting for now is to actually play with the mutation and the hydrate. So you see you have a bunch of them. Hydrate the cart, place the cart, add an SKU, add an external item. We're going to discuss this. remove an item, change the price, manage the customer. This is definitely possible. You can. We are saving the cart, which means customer information, because as you may know, right, the customer could be guest. So if it's guest, you may not have an authentication system on your own website. So you may want to save some data about the customer, and metadata, because you also want to do you, and which means that you can use metadata to do your custom logic. Right? All clear so far?
So far, so good.
Let's hydrate the cart. So it's a mutation. This is GraphQL stuff. I want to hydrate. And for now, we are just going to provide an input with it's an array, right? And by the way, you can click here, and here you just need to provide items. So it's still the morning for me. So you need items, and it's an array, right? And an array of what? Of SKU. So minimum stuff is the SKU that I copy paste, and then I need something in return. So let's make it simple for now. I'm gonna put that on the side, give you some space. Boom. Dim effect. No. Good. So I write, you get a cart. Cool. And see, every time I click on the button, this is creating another cart because, I don't provide any ID. So if I want to update a cart, I actually can do that, providing the ID. Cool. I'm there. And then it's updating the cart. Then I can obviously get more information because hydration has happened here. So what can I get from the cart? Well, I can get back a list of items with the name, the quantity, and everything, right? So let's have a look at the variant, maybe. Variant name, the SKU, and what else do you want, Bob? The price will be the unit price here, so we can get everything we need. Tax amount, let's make it that way. So I do that, boom, and I get the cart. I wonder if it's a little bit slow because I'm sharing, but I don't know. Price, gross, you get everything from Crystallize, right? Cool. First step, but it might not be.
So basically, the only thing you had to supply was the SKU, and it knows everything else, and it assumes since you didn't provide quantity, you wanted just one, right? So this is the minimum of a shop API.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to deep dive into that a little bit later. But maybe here, I'd like to display the total, right? So let's put the total at the end. And what do I want for the total? I could create a fragment here. Let's do it this way. I want the net, the price, tax amount, maybe, and we'll discuss the discount after. So here I have the total, and obviously, if I change the quantity, I'm going to get the same unit price, but I'm going to get the total, right? So that does the calculation, and we'll see that it does more.
Yeah.
And we can actually have a look right away, unless you have a question.
No, just because right now you're creating a new cart every time, and that's of course not what you do. That's what you do the first time.
No, I'm updating the cart now.
Okay, you're updating the cart because you provided ID. Yeah,
exactly. So we can have a look at the get. So I'm going to need this. Now the cart is there. You want to get the cart, right? So I can query this. I'm going to need the authentication header. I can cart ID equals not the token, this, and then I get the cart ID, and here we can just this. Have a look at that. Let's have a look at the total, and then what did I do? Okay, good. So this is just getting the cart, no mutation now. Make sense?
Yep.
Good. So now you may want to do more, right? Sometimes, depending on the country, maybe the tax is different. Here, for instance, we don't have any tax. And also, let's start by that. So here you can provide a specific tax for a specific product. You're going to tell me, well, but maybe the tax is in Crystallize, right? If I switch here, I can, we can have a look, and here you can have a tax in Crystallize. Well, yes. So the Shop API is actually smart enough to look into this, or into the context that I'm going to show you in a minute, or in the tax rate that you want to mention here, right? So here, when I do that, it's going to obviously change all the calculation and calculate the tax amount for you in each line here and in the total. By the way, here, if you want the price for the line and not for the unit price, because this is a unit price, you can also ask for it. So here I can ask price. That would be the price for the line. So you don't have to do all those calculations yourself. You get it from here. So here it's equals to the total, obviously, because we have only one line. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, awesome.
And of course, because we have clients that work B2B, B2C. We have clients that have just one market, just selling in Germany, for example, and we have clients that sell in 100 plus markets, right? Mm-hmm. This tax rate is also then following our un-opinionated approach. You can easily hook this up dynamically. So you use Stripe tax jar or something like that to calculate the correct tax for the specific market.
Yeah, exactly. And then, exactly. And then you input it here. But if you don't want to do it on each line because it's a little bit, boring, there is another concept, which as an input, you can provide a context. So we didn't discuss this, but see, I got back the name of the product. But what if my website is multilingual? I may want to provide a language. Okay, so that would be the way to provide the language. We're going to talk about the TTL a bit later. Mm-hmm. But you can also provide a price context. And this one is really important. This is, for us, the way to, if I continue my logic here, I could have a tax rate that is common for all the items in the cart, while I can still override this one here. So here, the tax will be still the other two, right? I can actually display it. I can display it. Tax amount didn't change. Yeah, but you can also display the context here, so you get the information. I don't want to show you the context, but so I'm going to remove it and put it back later. So the price context is important. So, but it's not only about tax rate, because we don't know as Crystallize if the price that you input in the UI, if those prices are before tax or after tax, right? I mean, we have many examples of project where you do B2B and, the prices are in, before tax, and some client they have the price in Crystallize after tax. So we need a way to, you need to tell the Shop API, right? So we can do the calculation for you correctly. Make sense?
Yep. And of course, so in Crystallize, we just have any number of price variants, which is a identifier and a currency, and you configure it the way that is right for you. If you want to have a retail sales price with tax, which is typically for B2C in one market, that's often how they use it, and giving you all the flexibility here, basically. So it's an important point.
Yeah. And and so here, this is where all the magic is really happening. And you'll see that the context that you input is, of course, important. It's going to be saved, obviously, in the Shop API. So you don't have to provide it when you get the information. Everything is saved for you. And here, first, you can decide, okay, price and Crystallize, they have the tax included. And then maybe it's not going to change. Actually, it does, right? Because it does the calculation. If I do that the tax are not included, then it's going to change it. It's going to apply the tax differently. So we do absolutely that for you. You can also, let's have a look at doing this. I can, the recommendation would be to use cent. So you can set up the number of decimal that you want to see. So for instance, I want 2 decimal or 0 decimal. Here it's not going to change. If I want to mess it up, maybe I can do that. I'll have a look at this, for instance. Well, it's rounded, but now if I put 0, that's going to be 66, right? So we handle all the heavy lifting of you, or 67, we did the rounding. So yeah, so that's important. And then we want the Shop API to know about the feature of Crystallize, right? Because this is kind of generic, but in Crystallize, we have many things that are really cool and that you can use and that the Shop API should be aware of. And here I'm talking about mainly 2 things, Bob. Maybe you have an idea?
Actually not.
Okay. So basically, right, you can have a retail price or a sales price. And based on that, you may want to display the discount, like minus 15%, this kind of things, right? Maybe you want to display, the stroke price. Oh, this is a discount of 2. So how do you do that? Do you have to do the own logic yourself? No.
You just do that in the front end and you do some calculations and you're good.
You could do that.
Yeah.
or you could say, okay, I want to select sales price as my main price, and please Shop API compare it with default. So when I do that, the Shop API is going to fetch both prices, compute the calculation, apply the discount, and also return the discount. So this is where so I'm going to not do that first, and let's ask for the discount now. The discount is pretty simple. You have the percentage and the amount. Let's put it also everywhere we're displaying a price, and we're going to do it in the total as well. So if I do that now, it's not going to change anything. There is no discount because we didn't ask for anything. Now I'm going to tell the Shop API to actually use those different variants. And when I do that, then boom, magically, first it's not exactly the same price. I have another tax amount, but I got a discount. Here we provide the full length of the on purpose because you might want to use it to do other calculation. So we didn't want to round that one. But other than that, all the calculation has been done for you up to the total. So this is a way to fully use the feature in Crystallize from the Shop API. Yep.
Nice. But you can also ask for, because now you just have the price, you don't have the compare at price here, do you?
Yeah. No, you don't have here. You don't need it as a result, right? Because you have the discount amount, so you can actually, if you want it to display it, you just have to remove the amount. Or you can display the minus 20%, right? So again, here you do you, but actually, yeah, it might be something to consider to actually display the compare at price. Yeah, for now we don't do it.
Yep.
No. I thought you were going to ask me something else, because in Crystallize, we have many ways to change the prices. And there is a cool feature, especially in B2B, called price list.
Could it be price list? Yeah.
So that would be awesome that if you have a price list for a specific market, enable that the Shop API will actually also check into the price list, because if there is a price list that is enabled for this specific market, then you want a price for this specific market. So
nice. We should do that in the future.
Yeah, or it's done maybe.
Yeah.
Here you can just provide the market, and based on that, let's say Europe. Here the Shop API will actually handle again the heavy lifting for you. If you look at the documentation in Crystallize to play with the price list, it's not that you have a lot to do, but you have to understand what you're doing to actually apply the price correctly. So here, once again, it's done for you. Here, I don't think I have a good example, and I don't think we have time to really create a price list. It's not really the point. But yeah, this is taking care of you. You provide the market, and then we fetch the correct price based on the market. And by the way, this is also important, those two prices, because price lists are on top of the price. I don't share it.
Yeah, basically the price hierarchy is that every SKU product variant can have one or more price variants. They are defined, as we said, it's an identifier and a currency. And then on top of this, which is typically you set up the retail price, sales price, member price, things like this for each market. And then on top of this, the price lists are basically overriding all or some SKUs for one or more markets and one or more price variants for a given period of time. So you can run campaigns, for example, or you can have B2B pricing where one market have a set B2B price, and for example, a particular customer has its own price list also. So it's very powerful in terms of the way you can combine these things.
Yeah, and maybe just to show you how far this simplification with Shop API goes, it's when you are using the catalog API yourself, you're going to get the price from a variant, right? So a variant is from a product. Then you have the default variant, let's say. You have the different price variant here, and you can ask for the price.
Yep.
But you also need to ask for the price for a specific market, right? And then you get this price. You get the price for the market, and then you need to compute some stuff if you want to do the calculation. So this is what is actually the Shop API is doing this behind the scene. Okay.
Yep.
So we can go even further, right? I was mentioning the customer. So here we can definitely add a customer. We can say, okay, it's guest. Yes, it's a guest. Or it's and then we provide the identifier, and that's it, right? This is saved. You have it in the cart. You can get it. It's of course you need to ask for it, but yeah, you have that. So this is the basic, right? This is the basic. But then Bob came to me saying, "Yeah, but what did you say? Do you remember the complexity you wanted to add?"
Oh, it was quite a few things that we have discussed here. In terms of the customer to be able to...
No. Customer, it's quite simple actually. We're good.
Yeah.
But no, you wanted to add some concept of shipping cost, for instance, right?
Oh, yeah, we were on that already. Yeah, because one of the, and this is again just to reiterate, Crystallize Orders API. We can actually place products that doesn't exist in Crystallize. It could even be from another e-commerce solution that you integrate and push orders to Crystallize. That's cool, but that's a little bit hypothetical. But it's cool, for example, in if you have a lot of products. So we have clients that have, let's say you're selling books, then you might have a primary and secondary product database. So you have, let's say you have a few 100,000, which is your typical products that you stock and manage. But then you have 15 million other books that you can order, and you provide them in your web shop, but you don't want to manage them in Crystallize because it's just a search through a database. That means that you can actually place those products in Crystallize that don't live in Crystallize. So this is what we're talking about with the un-opinionated things. Another example is, as you said, shipping cost, because yes, you can manage shipping as a product in Crystallize, no problem. Most likely you don't want to do that because it's dependent on the shipping provider, how far you're shipping it, what type of shipping service, overnight delivery with DHL Express, for example, is a little bit more expensive than by land delivery that takes a couple of weeks. So you want to be able to plug in that from, for example, a shipping provider, specific line item. That's a long intro to...
No, but that's perfect. It's important, right? Because most of the time we see a cart API like we just described, of course, without all those fancy stuff. But yeah, we see the cart API like you add, you remove a cart with an SKU and it's done. But it's way more complex, right? What if you have a shipping cost? And then we thought about that and how to make it cool. So we could have added, some option, shipping cost, and do something. But then what about the border control tax or whatever? What about if you have an SKU, as you mentioned, that is just not in Crystallize? What if? So we have this concept, which only exists as an input. If you look at the cart, and this is really important to understand that the cart will always be the same. The same things that you get, right? You have only items and you get cart item. But as an input, you can actually input external item. They are going to be transformed into item. But if you add external item, here you have full control of what you do. So here I can do fake SKU, shipping cost. But of course, the Shop API, if you do that, will ask you way more information because it cannot hydrate it, right? Because I don't know where to fetch information here, right? I mean, when I say it's actually the Shop API. The Shop API doesn't know, right? So you have to input. So yeah, I don't remember so much, but let's have a look. So you can do it on the side, or you can do it directly when you hydrate. So yeah, the input, external item. Here you need more stuff, right? So you need the SKU, then you need the quantity, and see this is required. So you need actually the name. So let's say shipping cost. What else? Well, you can provide images. I'm going to do that. But then you need the variant, right? And in the variant, you probably need the price. So let's make it this. It's kind of expensive. That's this. Okay, and that's it. You don't need more, right? Unless you provide discount on this line, which you can do. But we don't need the tax if you provide the gross and net, right? Shop API will do that for you. What else do we need? We need a product, because we need to make it like a cart item. And in the product, you probably just need an ID that could be anything you want, and maybe a URL, calling path, but here you can, that could be URL to your product. And when you do that, that's enough. That's going to add an item to your cart, which is not coming from customers. And then the calculation are, managed. So let's make it a little bit more expensive. See that it's working well, but yeah, see. So again, we're calculating everything for you very deeply. So
this is kind of unique to Crystallize, also being able to handle these external products and that you can merge it and really be the orchestration of multiple services there. Another example, we did a live stream a couple of weeks back on how you can build a product configurator. We also released an open source accelerator on that. And when you're having configurable products, maybe you want to have a dynamic SKU. For example, like with Sweef, for example, a furniture brand from Sweden, they combine a base of a sofa with fabric, for example, so that the SKU is actually dynamically generated, and this is what's being sent to the ERP and for manufacturing. And of course, then the Shop API is also able to handle those types of SKUs where you actually combine multiple configurations of a product. So there's several
ways. And I do believe this boilerplate is actually using Shop API. So if you have, for example, that, you can definitely have a look.
You find it on crystallize.com, product configurator.
Exactly.
So, cool. So, this is already quite powerful, I would say.
Yeah, but then you need some info, right? Because when you're going to display the cart, or when you're going to play with the cart, that would be nice if you could, because now see, there is no more external item. External item in the input is just a hint for the Shop API to do what it should do. But then at the end of the day, you receive cart item, right? It's a generic things. You may want to know what's going on. So that's why I hidden the context before, and I'm going to put it back now to have a look at the context here, because this is quite interesting to see that when the SKU exists, you have origin Crystallize. manage equals true, because the shop API is going to iterate this guy because it's managed by the shop API. And this one, it's origin external, and it's not managed by Crystallize, which means the shop API doesn't manage it, which means that you are in charge if you want to update the price and everything. So that's an important concept for the following one, because yeah, we are not done. We are not done. You can go even further because of a use case board that you also want to manage. That right? That's normal. Board is coming to us with a lot of things you want to do, and then we are doing it. And this is
but
cool.
It's because I think it's cool with the dynamic calculation or the automatic calculation that is done there. But in many cases, that's not good enough, right? Because maybe you have let's say you want to have a rule that if you're a member of this customer club, for example, you're a member, you get additional 10% on all blue items you buy, whatever the rule is, right? There's no way we can have discount if blue rules and member kind of function in the shop API, right? That's just not possible. But we still want to be able to manage that, because we don't make decisions on how you're going to price and discount your products. So this is the requirement. And then, Sebastian, how do we fix that?
Exactly. So we have two ways. Actually, you could use the external item to do that, right? You can definitely use external item, and you can put a real SKU, and then you have to provide everything. It kind of sucks because this everything, it's in Crystallize, right? So you don't want to input a name if you can get it. So we would need a way to change the price of an item in the cart that could be a Crystallize item or an external item. And this is the point of this other mutation here, which we are calling change cart item pricing. So here, this mutation will actually change the price of an item in the cart that is managed by Crystallize. Where am I? Okay, so we are taking over the shop API for that guy. Now we control the price. That is exactly what I'm going to do. And of course, this is going to stay, but manage will become false, which means that for all the other iteration after that, the price will not be fetched from Crystallize. It's you are in charge now. So this mutation is quite cool as well. So first, I can.
This mutation works both on external items.
Exactly. Yeah, both. So let's have a look at this. So that is the cart. Cool. So see, this is the price when I get the Smeg robot. It was net this one. Okay. Now we're going to do another mutation. I'm going to do that. Yeah. Mutation. And it's set change cart item price. Of course, we need the ID of the cart on which we are playing. And then what do you think we're going to need as an input? SKU. Any SKU. Because the SKU is unique, right, within the cart. So we need the SKU to say, hey, I'm going to change the price of that SKU. And then actually you can change the quantity from here, but it's just because it was better to give that opportunity here. But you can change the price, and here you can change the gross price or the net price to provide both. So let's make it expensive. 99, net price would be, I don't know. Oops. What am I doing? Okay. And then you get back the cart. Here I'm going to be lazy, just get the ID back. And when you do that, boom, if I go back here and I look at the cart, the price will have changed, obviously. Now it's not managed anymore, but it's still coming from Crystallize. So that's the way. It might be a little bit tricky when you see me do that. So well, what else? Why is it so cool? Well, it's cool because you can control this in your service API. You can apply the rule that you want. You can apply a voucher on a specific, as you mentioned, if you're part of a club, you can just change the price for that item. And then all the calculation, once again, are done for you, which is pretty cool.
Saves a lot of time when developing the service API.
Definitely, and no more storage. Even for local development, no need for a rest on the side. For hosting, you can actually almost just host your, the front end. So yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of usage for the front end. There are two more things that we can show, right? So first, we didn't list the cart. So let's continue. So now let's imagine the price has been paid. The user got the, I don't know, whatever payment system is done. You receive the webhook and payment is done. You want to place the cart from your service layer. So let's place this cart, right? So I'm going to get the ID. Oh, I'm going to copy paste. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to do this mutation and I'm going to place the cart. So placing a cart is quite easy. It doesn't require many things. Just the ID and that's it. So here again, I could get back the full. What I can show though, here it's, you can get the state of the cart. You didn't see that. Now the cart is a cart. Now I'm going to place this cart. So I want to get the ID back and the state. And when you do that, it doesn't change so much. But now, because it's placed, I hope I'm not going to fail this one. If I want to mutate it, it should fail, right? So we can apply that transition to the state machine. So you have actually a clear error here because it's locked. Poof, success. This is what we wanted. And because it's locked and it's placed, now you can use the query that we were showing at the very beginning, where you can actually get the cart as an order intent. What do you need? The ID of the cart. So, by the way, the ID of the cart, you save it on your side, right? It could be session, local storage. So you can get back the cart, right? So with the ID and everything. But what's really matters here is you get the order. And here, kind of weird, you don't ask for anything. You just provide the order. You just provide this, and then we return an intent that you can almost use as is. This order actually. Let me be clear. I remove cart. I just get the order. So this is what you can push to Crystallize as an order. So see, we have added stuff for you. Customer, okay. This is all the stuff that you needed. Crystallize, the subtotal. This is the cart item, the total, formatted the way Crystallize wants it, and some metadata that you may want, like key, cart state, the cart ID. And here you can add more, right? So this is why it's just an intent, because usually you're going to put the transaction, the payment transaction ID or something. You can add more metadata, right? But yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to show you in terms of using the Shop API from within the front.
Yeah, and also we decided not to push the order directly, so that you still have this
control
step where you can inject and modify and do whatever you want. So
yeah, on that part, you have the control. Yeah, definitely. And
that's pretty complete in terms of what you can do with the cart API. I often get these questions, okay, but how do we handle abandoned cart and things like this? And there's tons of ways to do that with marketing automation, things like this. But what if every morning at 9 you want to create a job, or whenever it's good to, maybe it's in the evening if it's B2C, when people just arrive in the sofa, you want to send remember to place the order for this new sofa.
Yeah.
You can't do things like this, right? That's not possible.
No, it's not. Never. But what if? What if we could do it? So yeah, that is a question that we have all the time. Abandoned cart. I mean, we are talking about e-commerce, right? It's not just features. It's money behind the scene, right? Revenue for our client. And abandoned cart, it's actually a very cool kind of marketing automation that has to be somehow standard. If you're building e-commerce, you know, someone has created a cart, they have the will to buy, right? So you may want to remind them, hey, come back, finish your cart, right? So that's why.
Unless it's people that just test out e-commerce.
Sure. Yeah. So that's why here I didn't mention it earlier, but you have a TTL, time to live.
Which, by the way, you also have on your authorization, which I know is about to expire, but let's go.
I'd create another. So yeah, TTL, cool. It will actually flag the cart to have a time to live. So here actually you can ask for expired at, and you know when the cart is gonna expire. Cool. So what does that mean? So you have many other things, right? You have, is it expired? So you don't have to do the calculation for you. This is also, you know, details, but it's kind of important detail, right? You know, you can do the calculation, but then you don't want to do it. So yeah, it's done for you. What else? Cool. We didn't talk about metadata, but of course on each item, you can set metadata, and on the cart itself, you can set metadata. So, but yeah, you have the concept of expiration. By the way, the expired at is updated each time you mutate the cart, right? Each time there is an update on the cart, we add the TTL to make the expired date, right? That makes sense, because if it's moving, it's moving. But then you could think that this is going to be expired and then we get rid of the cart. No, this is not what we want. We want the cart to be able to be expired. So you want to be able to fetch a cart that is expired equals true, because then you are going to take action on that cart. But where do you do that? Because I don't see any mutation or query. That would be a query. I don't see any query to get a list of cards.
Must be in the future.
Must be in the future. But would it be safe to have this at the same level? Probably not, right? You may want to have different scope. You're going to authorize your front end, maybe the service API, to create cards like that. But you may not want the same service. You know, we're doing best of breed and Jamstack, you know, microservices and etc. So you actually need a token that has access to another endpoint, which is very similar to this one, but it's cart/admin. Do that.
After 3 minutes, you let us know about that.
Yeah, this one is cool. So now I put the token, and let's have a look at what we have. This one is a very simple endpoint. There is no mutation yet.
Yep.
I'm looking at the time. It's almost an hour already. So you can get the cart, obviously, right? So I can just get my cart back. Let's do that. So from the admin standpoint, obviously, you can get your cart, right? And this one should be placed. This is a cart. What if we want a list of cards? This is where it starts to become full. It looks like a search kind of thing. So the idea of the card. So here I'm probably going to get a lot of cards. Because you know we've used that before. So here you get the list of the cards, and then as you can see on the left, this is a search kind of mechanism. So you can say, okay, I just want 2, or I want to skip 5. I want all the cards updated after this time. I'm not going to do it. Or you can say, I want all the cards with a gross price that is bigger than, let's see if we have something. Let's remove the 400, bigger than 500. Boom. So here it's really an admin kind of things where you can get the card and you can know if they are expired. You can also filter. You only want the expired. And this is exactly how you do abandoned cart. You say to this API every morning at 9, give me all the cards that are expired. because I want to do something on it. Of course, I have no extra cart here.
Or a cart that is between 1 and 2 days old, for example.
Exactly.
You can do that, and yeah. And you could also potentially update the carts with meta information if there's active carts that are, so you can manage this. That, let's say you're using SendGrid to send out emails with the beautiful here's your cart, click here to continue, and you can also track with meta information on the cart that yes, we've actually sent out a reminder to this cart, so that you don't need to do it every day.
And we also, I forgot about this, we also add some summary. So we also do some calculation at the admin level to get your total gross based on your query. So here, that's going to be the sum of what you sold somehow. I mean, no, what you can sell, because this is cart. So, and we're going to add more stuff in here. And should we say, should we discuss what we're going to do? Because we're not done yet, right? In terms of what, so that's it for, I think we've reviewed everything. Now maybe we can discuss what we're going to add.
Yeah, I think, and this provides a lot of friction removal in the developer experience here. So it's great. And of course, as I said, we're not done. There, obviously, these type of admin features here, they should also have a UI. But as we are headless and API first, everything is built on the API side before we actually do include it in the UI. So do expect it to pop up in the management here, where you will be able to see current values of active carts and things like this, so that you can actually monitor what's going on in real time.
So a bit like the order, but for the cart?
Yeah. But also, and with stats and reporting in terms of, what's the potential sales in carts that have been touched in the last 5 hours, things like this.
Yeah, and even more, right? Because we already have this question from client as well. It's more B2B, right? But we have this. That would be awesome to be able to create a cart from the UI, right? So you can just send the URL of the cart to your client, and they just have to pay, and then boom, we have B2B feature.
But then you have the standard prices, or what if you change the price because I give you a special price, we agreed on 44 euros, then you get 44 euros.
Even better, exactly, right? And by the way, this is already possible, right? This is all in production. You can definitely create a Crystallize app where you can actually build a cart. So the admin person can build a cart, you save it, then you get the ID of the cart that you get from the Shop API. You send it with a specific link on your web shop where you enter the payment and you finish the checkout process and done. This is just possible already.
Yeah. So basically, you can create offers. That's what we're talking about. With also custom pricing and discounting, that's not a problem. So it could be totally manual entering of discounts. No rules. You decide whatever price you want to give.
Yep.
One of the things that we also discussed was, since we're doing a lot of product configurators, like composable products that is combined with multiple SKUs or configurations, to have a hierarchical setup of the cart items. Yeah, so that's definitely something we have some ideas already for how it should be. Coming maybe soon. Yeah. We actually had it. We did remove it before the release, just to say, because that's one of the things that we just want to go an extra round on the design process on.
Yeah, because it can get quite complex, right? Especially in terms of price calculation. Do we include the composed of in the pricing? I mean, all those custom stuff that you can do, we are adding many levels of it, like we make it recursive kind of. So yeah, still thinking on it.
Yeah. So, but definitely that's something to make it easier to have combined products. Of course, you can do it today, but we want to make it easier to have a good structure for it. The other thing is, of course, around discounting even further. So as you said, now we can override anything. You can have any calculation you want. You have that in your middleware in the service API. We just want to make more functions that are available, like 342 or free shipping if and things like this, so that you have some rules that you can more easily hook into. So that's definitely coming, just to remove some of the calculation from the developers end.
Yep.
I guess that's pretty much it in terms of where we are. Already in production, already in use. Check it out. If you have questions, we do have a Slack community. Join us there. I should also mention, for those that are watching, we also have a conference this summer, React Norway, so check it out. It's the 14th of June in Norway. A lot of cool talks there. But join our Slack channel, check out the Shop API, shoot us any questions that you have. You will find Sebastian, me, and the rest of the team on Slack. It's we just hit 1,000 members on the Slack community 2 days ago. So good place for information.
And also for feature requests and stuff. We really want the Shop API to handle all the use cases, most of the use cases, if not all. So if you have a use case that you cannot manage with the Shop API, we want to know, because we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, in a generic way.
Yeah, in the generic way, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Let's end on that. That was a flat hour. See you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Thanks, Bob. Talk to you soon.